Are you ever in the middle of approximately 87 projects, but then you come up with one project idea that suddenly absolutely takes precedence over everything else because, hi, I used to have impeccable posture. I no longer anymore, and I'm not very pleased about that. I was thinking once upon a time how when you put on a pair of 17th or 18th century stays, something really extraordinary and magical happens because it was the fashion to have a very all of a sudden, your entire posture changes. Your shoulders go back, your chest opens up. You know, you have that historical silhouette that looks like it doesn't exist anymore because we're all like prawn curled over our laptops. All of a sudden, you put on a pair of these old stays and it just changes your posture completely. Don't get me wrong, it hurts like hell for a while you get used to it. But what if there was a way to create some sort of shoulder harness thing that borrows the construction detail of these garments to pull your shoulders back? Something that's very lightweight that I could just put under an outfit that I could just wear around, especially on days when I have to sit and be doing a lot of computer work. I have a couple of different configurations in my head and a whole lot of scrap leather that I would love to use. Let's see if we can come up with a thing that works. And then I will get back to all of my other projects. The magic, I think, happens when you get this sort of lozenge-shaped armscye hole, which you see throughout the 17th and 18th centuries. Because the armscye is set so far into the back of the garment, it's really drawing those shoulders back. So naturally, this has to happen with strap stays with straps on them. This is actually a pair of covered stays. So it is a pair of stays that's just been smooth covered over with fabric. So these stays are doing the job of drawing the shoulders back according to the fashion of this period, while also looking like an outer garment. I have a theory that we might be able to recreate this in just a very small piece of configuration without actually constructing the entire pair of stays. So I'm thinking it might be worth starting with a very narrow back strap here, which would mimic the back of the garment, and then to create straps that come forward from that. So I'm thinking that there might be two ways that we could possibly do this, and I'm gonna mock both of them up and we'll see which one works better. So the first model that I'm going to try is with a narrow back strip and then two sort of shoulder loops or armscyes, if you will, attached to that in the back that will draw the shoulders back. Another one that I'm thinking might also work, I'm wondering if you can kind of get the same effect by just making a little figure of 8 so that you have the back strap and the armscyes literally all in one piece. So I'm gonna give these a shot. I have a bunch of ribbon that I think I can mock these up before we go into the actual scraps of leather that I have, because I don't have that much of it and I feel like I wanna save that for when I actually know for sure that this is gonna work. This is definitely doing something, but one thing I am definitely discovering is that this is gonna have to be out of a very strong material because right now this ribbon is not holding up. Okay, here's what's gonna happen. We're gonna hold for a helicopter. Okay, so here's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna do a mock-up of the other design that I'm thinking about. I'm gonna wear both of them around and then we will see which design is more comfortable, which is more practical, which might be more durable. Ooh, oh, that one feels much nicer. Wow. I think I really like this one. Okay. The great thing about this one is that there's only one weak point here, whereas on the other one, there are 2 weak points. So this one I think is actually gonna be a lot stronger, and it's also feeling like it's doing a lot more pulling my shoulders back while also being super flexible because it only has this one joint. And it's a very flexible joint. I'll probably put a rivet here when I actually do it in the real thing so that it'll have lots of movement. It'll be very mobile. Okay. Wearing these two around, we'll get a gist and see how we feel about them. And then whichever one we like best, we will make up into a real thing. Having worn both of these models around for a couple of hours, I mean, you can probably guess what I'm gonna say, but this figure of 8 pattern was like instantaneously a lot better, or at least a lot more comfortable on me. And I realized laying them out side by side that the reason for that is because it's just like I hypothesized with the 18th and 17th century stays, that sort of oblong armscye hole between the shoulder strap and the top of the bodice. That shape really helps to draw the shoulders back in a very smooth and comfortable way. So whereas we have some very circular armholes with this initial shape here, the figure of 8 draws the arms back in that very natural oblong armhole shape. I'm gonna try and make up this one in the actual real leather and see how much of a difference that makes. One thing that I realized though is that the physics of a figure of 8 inherently means that both sides are gonna be seen, which is fine on a double-faced satin ribbon, but is not so fine on a piece of leather where one side is clearly the wrong side. So like the suede backing is gonna be on the outside on at least one half of the garment, on at least one half of the harness at some point. So if we do each one half coming around in like an X shape, then we get that cross, and then it will just come together at the sides, well, at the front here, and rivet and rivet. Should I buckle them is the question. I have some little Anglo-Saxon reproduction buckles here, which could be fun. I mean, on the bright side, it will be adjustable, but at the same time, where am I gonna put the extra strap length? The annoying thing about leather is like, you can't pin it together. Stay. It does add bulk, and it will prevent this from being worn underneath garments. But man, this leather is gonna be so comfortable. This is a very lightweight leather, so it's got a lot of give to it. I'm very excited about this. Wait, what if instead of the buckle, we rivet it here and here? That way, there's another point, like there's another joint effectively. Okay, this would hypothetically allow this to sit flatter under the armpit, because one of the things that I did notice with the ribbon is that as it was passing under the armpit, it was bunching up. But if there's a joint here, it can angle itself so that this sits flat around the body, like the body of a pair of stays, and this comes forward like the strap. It all comes back to historical pattern cutting, doesn't it? Because the strap would tie on at the front right here. Okay, that's what we're gonna do. We're just gonna rivet it at the front so that we have this joint. History really has already figured everything out. The process for making this up was so easy. I'm just taking the half measurement from the ribbon mock-up, which for me was 19 3/4 inches, and then I'm adding 1 inch to accommodate for the overlap for a total of 20 3/4 inches. Then I can cut these strips to the appropriate length. I'm then treating each strap with some Rizzling to make them nice and shiny, to seal the edges, and also to tame the suede backs a little bit. I have learned the hard way that this is a lot easier to do now than after it's all been made up, so being a little smart. Quick snack break whilst that dries, then after figuring out the halfway mark on each strip, I can lay them in a cross shape for riveting together. Then I'm matching the strap ends together and once again riveting those in place. For the moment of truth, this legitimately took like 2 seconds to make. I swear if this becomes like my most used project, I'm gonna be like low-key a little bit annoyed. Oh, wow! That does something. I will say my whole scheme about not having the leather bunch up under the arms did not work. It is still very much doing that, and it's not nearly as comfortable under the arms as the ribbon was, but this does feel super sturdy. With the ribbon, I definitely had a lot more flexibility, but with this, I'm very securely in place. I don't even know how it looks from the back. I don't know why I didn't do this from the beginning, but these straps are definitely too thick. This is 1-inch leather strips, but because it's thicker, it definitely feels like a lot more of a thing. So I'm not quite able to get my arms down at my sides, which is really annoying. I do want to trim down the leather straps to be thinner. I do feel it very comfortably across my shoulders. The one thing that's causing me issues right now is that it's cutting off my circulation in my arms by sitting right here. So that's not ideal, but I'm gonna see if I can fix that. I couldn't for the life of me pry the rivets apart, so I had to do this the hard way, which was super annoying and ended up taking about 3 times as long as it took to make the original harness. So in theory, I could have just made a new one, but also I don't like wasting materials, so you know what, no regrets. It's fine, it happened, and it all worked out fine. Yeah, that is so much better. Wow! There we go! Oh, I feel so regal now. Okay, I'm officially gonna be living in this thing. This is so great. Wow, the difference that this makes is just astonishing. Why is this like the best thing I've ever made and it actually took 2 seconds? And 0 sewing skill, might I add. I should get back to my actual real project now. I texted a picture of this to Danny and immediately he was like, oh, I have one of those in fabric. So apparently I did not have to spend a whole day inventing and making this whole contraption. I could have just bought one. So anyway, I want to tell you about a thing because I have just recently been collaborating with Skillshare, who are a frequent sponsor of this channel and who are conveniently sponsoring this video. But we've been collaborating to produce a brand new class on working on creative teams. So when Skillshare approached me for a more sort of creative business-oriented class, my first thought was that I really haven't found anything that teaches people how to be part of a team and how to take advantage of all the incredible opportunities there are, especially these days where content creation is a whole fantastic new field of industry. I, if you don't know, got my start working on creative teams in, commercial entertainment, on theater. So I just thought it would be really interesting to sit down and chat to you about all the things I've learned about getting jobs and maintaining jobs, both from the employee and from the employer perspective. We go through building your resume, building your portfolio, building the skills that you need to best help you succeed in these environments. Skillshare, of course, if you don't already know, is a fantastic online learning community. It's got thousands of classes in all manner of creative niche, from drawing and painting, fine arts, to content creation and more digital creative fields as well. It is very much a platform by creatives for creatives. I, of course, also have a couple of sewing classes on there if you are wanting to brush up on your hand sewing skills. The first 500 people to click the link in my description will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare, which includes includes my brand new class as long as every other class on the site. So do go forth and take advantage of that, and hopefully I shall see you there.